Abobaku, born to die with the king. Episode 3. After the coronation of the new Alefin, the drums of Oyo settled into a gentler rhythm. The palace courtyard, swept clean every dawn, seemed almost to hum with peace. From the market square, the cries of traders hawking roasted yam, palm oil, and goat meat returned. Children chased each other between the wooden pillars of compounds. Hunters came home with their game slung over their shoulders. But under this calm, tongues were sharp as cutlasses. The strange thing had never left their minds, a living Abobaku, walking in the sun like an honored guest of death. In the ancient ways, the Abobaku was never a person the people could see. He was like the shadow of the king, seized only when the king's life ended, buried so swiftly that no family could even claim him. His death was quiet, his name lost in the dust. Yet here stood a man eating from the king's table, sleeping under leopard skins, smiling as if he had cheated the ancestors themselves. Some said, did he make the right choice? To agree to die with the king. Others grumbled, if we had known, perhaps it would have been us. The man now eats more than the king. He has servants fanning him in the heat of the afternoon while the rest of us till our farms under the burning sun. The elders shook their heads. Enitkomoibit aneti so ogansi, opi otolori, he who does not know where yesterday buried its cows will call the enemy a friend. For they knew that fate is like the long python, it coils silently before it strikes. Days turned into market weeks. 10 full market weeks passed without trouble. Then, on a night when the moon hung like a watchful eye over Oyo, the elders and chiefs gathered for a banquet in the palace. The king sat high on his throne, gourd of palm wine in hand, roasted antelope on a silver platter before him. Laughter rose like smoke. But death does not always come with a drumbeat. Before the feast was done, the Alefin's face darkened. His breath slowed, his voice faltered, his eyes rolled back. The talking drums outside shifted to a mournful tone. By the time the stars had fully claimed the sky, the king's spirit had left his body. The wail of women rose through the night like a great wind. Men tore at their wrappers. Warriors struck their shields in mourning. Yet in one corner of the palace, another cry, softer, more desperate, rose in a man's chest. The Abobaku. Before this title had been laid on him, life had meant little. His days were like dry leaves, easy for the wind to scatter. But after 10 weeks of palm wine, rich meat, the touch of women, and freedom from all labor, he now feared death as a goat fears the slaughterhouse. He remembered the cold earth, the burial songs, the stories of men struggling in their final breaths beneath the soil. Still, tradition is a river that does not change its course because one man is afraid. On the 7th market day after the king's death, the rites began. Drums sounded slow and deep. The king's body, wrapped in the finest osok, was carried to the sacred grove. Beside him walked the Abobaku, bound not by rope but by the invisible chains of destiny. When the king's body was lowered into the earth, the Abobaku was pushed into the same grave, alive. The soil closed over them both, sealing another covenant of Oyo. But the sun does not sleep for long. In Oyo, a throne cannot remain empty. Obati keosi, oruki aemu, when there is no king, the night has no dawn. And so, the elders gathered to choose the next Alefin. By birthright, the next in line was an older man, wise in counsel, rich in years. Yet the moment his name was spoken, the market square erupted in shouts. Men, women, even the youth who sold kola nuts at the corner of the market all refused. No, they cried. We will not choose a king whose beard is white as cotton. We will not give our young men to follow an old man into the grave. The elders argued. The chiefs threatened. But the people were stubborn. A young tree bends to the wind, an old one breaks, they said. If we must choose an Abobaku, let him follow a man whose life has not already been counted by the ancestors. For weeks, the matter stood unresolved. The goats wandered through the palace gates, the market women sold their goods in uneasy silence. Then at last, the would-be third king rose to speak. If it will bring peace to the land, he said, I will let go of the crown, but on one condition, the crown must pass to my own son, young enough to satisfy your demand. And so it was. The drums roared again. The youngest Alefin Oyo had ever seen stepped into the sunlight, a boy with the gaze of a hawk and the walk of a panther. His head was crowned with beads, his robe heavy with meaning. The people cheered. Palm wine spilled over the earth in blessing. But when the moment came to choose his Abobaku, the young king lifted his staff and spoke. This choice will not be made by the people. I, your king, will choose the one who will walk with me to the end. The air froze. Even the drummer stopped. In Oyo, the king's word is iron, it bends for no man. The young Alafin named his Abobaku, the eldest son of the very man who would inherit the throne if the king were to die. The market square gasped. Some women clutched their chests. The chosen man's father went pale as a man seeing a snake in his doorway. Why such a choice? The young king explained, his voice like a blade. I have seen 2 kings die in quick succession. I do not believe it is the work of the spirits. I have asked myself who stands to gain most from the king's death. The answer is clear, the next in line for the crown. And so, I make his own son my Abobaku. If I die, his blood will go into the earth with me. No man will hasten my death knowing his own son must follow. The elders murmured. Tofo bo ni loju, e oniferan keotuan oni owo, when loss is staring a man in the face, he will not play with the hand that caused it. Some called it wisdom beyond his years. Others called it cunning that could trap even the fox. But all agreed, a new game had begun in Oyo. Yet, in the shadows of the palace, whispers stirred. Not everyone was afraid of the king's cleverness. Some said death was not the only way to claim the crown. Some said the game had just become bloodier. The ground under the throne was shifting. And the youngest king in the history of Oyo was standing on it. To be continued.